Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from the Washington Free Beacon. This is dated, when is it? I know their dates are down here, September 23rd. And it says, big headline says, why would they be eating animals? They have vouchers. Springfield, Ohio, overwhelmed by Haitians and a housing crisis, has much bigger problems than pet rumors. Subheading here says, a visit to Springfield finds a small city where thousands of poor Haitians, aided by pro-immigrant charities, have swamped social services and flooded the workplace with cheap labor. And I know, obviously, after the debate when Trump said, they're eating the dogs, and I can't do a Trump impersonation, so we're not going to try. And then, of course, the mainstream media was like, this isn't happening. That's not true. And then the guy on the debate was like, we checked with the city manager. Meanwhile, all the people are like, hello, like, here's all our stories. Oh, here's a police report from a year before this saying that, like, basically our cats are disappearing. But I agree with the second part of this, which is this headline, which is why I wanted to talk about it. And it's the whole that Springfield has much bigger problems than pet rumors. So let's go into that because that's what this article is actually going to be about. I haven't read it, but I have a feeling about that. Deep breath. It says, if we only had 5,000, I wouldn't be talking to you right now, says Reverend Barron, real name Kenneth Seelig, in what's become a common refrain in the embattled city of Springfield, Ohio. Barron, a street preacher, food truck owner, and former warehouse manager, has emerged as a colorful champion for the small city as it struggles through an unprecedented transformation. As many as 20,000 Haitian immigrants, city officials say, have arrived in Springfield since the pandemic, swelling its population to almost 80,000. Times were already tough before the rumors started swirling about migrants eating cats, dogs, and geese. Look, man, why would they be eating animals? They have vouchers. They're displacing people here. That's the problem, Barron said. We can have town meetings with our pitchforks, yelling, but I'm over that. Reasonable men need to sit down and think of a solution. It says Barron, a burly figure, and I'm guessing this is him. Let's just take a look at the caption. Yep, that would be him. All right, so it's Barron, a burly figure with denim overalls, a red hat, and a great white beard, went viral on social media earlier this month when he gave a fiery speech at a town meeting about the city's growing homeless population. The video has 9.5 million views on X. Well, good for him. It says, I don't know of a single homeless Haitian in this town because they all got vouchers. Oh, I did see that. Okay. He bellowed at the city elders. I'd like to show you the whole bunch of people who have been displaced. It says Springfield has been inundated with reports from around the world in recent days. Barron says someone from the World Economic Forum, oh great, those commies, an organization with which he was not familiar, even rang him up after J.D. Vance tweeted out the pet-eating rumors. The following evening, Donald Trump declared at a debate that they're eating the pets. To be sure, many Springfield residents swear that the city's park used to have geese and a lot more ducks. And, to be sure, there was not a single goose to be found on Tuesday afternoon and a relatively paltry number of other waterfowl, nor were there any visible incidents of cats or dogs on a Weber. Okay, that was kind of funny. It says, but none of that, despite the media maelstrom, matters much to those in Springfield who spoke with the Washington Free Beacon. They describe a city in crisis as it struggles to absorb the thousands of Haitians granted temporary protected status by the Biden-Harris administration, and it's all on purpose. It says, if avian welfare was Springfield's primary trouble, says Mark Sanders, a school bus driver, the city wouldn't need much help. But the tabloid-like attention on alleged animal cruelty only serves to distract from a litany of crises that locals say their leaders are ignoring. We're in a multicultural city, but it's just too many, and our leaders are trying to minimize the impact, said Sanders. It's like fertilizer mixed with diesel fuel. Well, that's not good. Those rents are rising faster than national trends, which local landlords attribute to Haitian renters who, aided by left-wing charities, have successfully applied for Section 8 housing vouchers. The wait list for those vouchers is now closed. Yeah, that's going to screw over your actual inhabitants. Since crime was already higher in Springfield than most similarly sized cities, but residents are now dealing with a scourge of traffic violations. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, Republican, wrote Friday in the New York Times, not widely read in Springfield, because it's a right-wing town, and you shouldn't read the New York Times because it is practically all propaganda for far-left causes. So he wrote Friday that ensuring that Haitians learn how to drive safely and understand our driving customs and traffic laws remains a top priority. How are you going to do that, pal? The social services are overwhelmed, and some Springfield residents are blaming their layoffs on the flood of cheap Haitian labor, an allegation supported by Springfield's curiously lethargic wage growth since 2022. And some of the city's most vulnerable populations say they've been pushed aside. So they're taking attention away from people like me, said a homeless woman who called herself Mama D. I don't dislike the Haitians, but it's harder for us to get houses now. The cheapest apartments go for $700 a month now. I'd love to be in an apartment that was $700 a month. My rent's like twice that. It's probably a crap apartment, but geez, I'd love to be paying $700 a month. There's a common defense from sympathetic parties is that the Haitians are here to work. That is largely true, although no one believes that there are 20,000 vacant positions in the county. Yeah, exactly. Says the thousands of Haitians who poured into Springfield in recent years, legal migrants due to permissive Biden-Harris policies that have welcomed refugees from failed states such as Haiti and Venezuela, were drawn by word of mouth about jobs. They were met by immigrant-focused charities who helped them apply for social services and find low-wage jobs. One consequence is a sharp uptick in welfare dependency in the Springfield metro area. Roughly 8,000 people of Haitian origin are now receiving federal assistance from programs like Medicaid. March 2022, that was fewer than 1,000. Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. Something of an increase, I would say. It says on Tuesday afternoon, this reporter saw a stream of Haitians, many with children, entering and leaving the city's welfare office at a constant pace. Makeshift signs outside the building feature instructions in Haitian Creole. Okay, and that's not something that's just going to that's going to be in that city already. That's going to pop up there because you're importing those people directly. It says, I am legal, one Haitian man said as he left with a folder of papers in his hands. Much attention has been paid in the last year to megacities like New York and Chicago. Oh, they're megacities now, okay. And they're flailing in the face of a migrant surge. But it's much smaller places like Springfield that may have it the worst. Mayor Rob Rue, a Republican, said in July the city is overwhelmed and equipped to provide services like public safety and firefighting for 60,000 people, not upwards of 80,000. Right, you can't just drop an extra, third of the entire population of the town into there and just assume everything is going to go the way it was already. That's just not how things work. And you'd think, these are, I'm sure, left-wing NGOs that are doing this, and they just, as I've said many times, they just don't seem to understand how people function and how people work or anything like that. They just don't get it, to put it mildly. So let's just get back to this before I start going off on a major tangent. It says, there's no middle ground here. Everyone is polarized, said Zach, who runs a local towing firm and declined to give his full name. But business is harder because when I tow a car that has been in an accident, the owner never comes and gets it because they don't have a license or insurance, and that's a problem. So Springfield City schools have seen an explosion in non-English speaking students, increasing 540% in the last 7 years. That is ridiculous. The local school system, Bruce said, is averaging 40 new students every week, many of whom don't speak English. That is, wow. That's just a huge influx. As DeWine's critics say he's been slow to respond, which doesn't surprise me. It was only last week that he announced a $2.5 million aid package for expanding primary care access for everyone living in Springfield. That money, though not the first time the state has sent funds to Springfield, came only after Trump's comments that they're eating the dogs. DeWine said in a statement that Ohio is on its own. The federal government does not have a plan to give any support to the communities impacted by surges, and we have absolutely no indication that a plan is coming in the near future. And a plan isn't coming because you are a red state and they're trying to change it to something else. It says that slow response has created a campaign issue for Republican Bernie Moreno, who is running to unseat incumbent Senator Sherrod Brown in a high-stakes race that's considered a toss-up. In a visit to Springfield earlier this month, Moreno said, what's going on in the community is a disgrace. The question on everyone's mind is simple. Why Springfield? As the Biden administration has offered temporary legal status to roughly 300,000 Haitians through a heavily criticized executive order. And that's Joe Biden's entire presidency has just been executive order after executive order. Not actual, governing. So there's conspiracy theories about how so many of these migrants ended up in one small downtrodden city. But the true explanation is more banal and a symptom of a broken immigration system. There are vacant positions at small and medium-sized manufacturers in Springfield, which local business leaders are more than happy to fill with foreigners willing to accept rock-bottom wages. I can't really fault them for that. It says that in places like Springfield that have fared poorly in the face of deindustrialization, local governments often give those business leaders what they want. It says we're not really bothering nobody, but I was down at the food pantry and had to wait 2.5 hours, said Kelly Hall, who works at a local church. It felt like there were 3,000 Haitians in line. You used to be able to fill your cart up. Now you're lucky if you get one thing. So again, if you dump a whole bunch of people into a town, you can't expect things to go the way they were. And I'm not blaming her. I'm blaming the government for that. There's a cottage industry of employment agencies now view Springfield as a hot market. One resident described an unholy alliance between local businesses and state-subsidized left-wing nonprofits. There we go. The Springfield residents pointed to First Diversity Staffing, a temp agency run by a Haitian American named George Ten. Is his brother like George 11 or something? Or is he a Foreman? Is he one of the Foreman kids and he's just George the 10th? Okay, but 10, who lives in a 7-figure home, Jesus, about 30 minutes from Springfield and drives a Porsche, did not respond to requests for comment. He oversees a temp agency with offices in Ohio and offers to work to migrants, many of them Haitian, in Kentucky, North Carolina, New York, and Indiana. He counts major businesses, including Dole Fresh Vegetable Company, among his clients. First Diversity's vans shuttle Haitians, a seemingly endless supply of cheap labor, to and from local employers who are more concerned with filling open positions than lowering local housing costs. 10 is reported to own dozens of houses in the Springfield area where his workers can find cheap lodging. He also maintains relationships with local landlords, and I'm sure he gets some deals too. So these landlords charge, here we go, $250 a month for bed in a house. And when I say bed, I mean the minute one of them gets up, another comes from his shift and gets in, said Sanders, the school bus driver. It's a cyclical indentured servitude that is basically being encouraged and championed. So it's kind of, it's not human trafficking, but sounds kind of like that too. So the spokeswoman for the Ohio Attorney General declined to comment on whether the state opened a criminal investigation into First Diversity. It sounds like that kind of needs to happen, a rumor that is circulating throughout Springfield. That same spokeswoman said she was familiar with 10 and his business. So what the future holds for Springfield is unclear. Locals are pessimistic about changes anytime soon. Trump, who said at the rally on Wednesday that he'll soon visit Springfield, has promised to deport the city's Haitians, a move that would likely be blocked in the courts. Yeah, probably, unfortunately. Says Vice President Kamala Harris, while being characteristically vague on policy proposals, slammed Trump's pet remarks on Tuesday. It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community, says Springfield's Haitians. Of course, not the people who, whose town it actually is. This Barron, star of the viral town hall video, doesn't necessarily agree with the sentiment. Says, I've been called a traitor to my race because I said I don't blame the Haitians for being here. Yeah, it really isn't their fault, he said. But what I always say is if you have 100 M&Ms and I tell you 5 of them are poison, would you still try one? Or would you throw them out and say we need to start over, we need vetting? That's a good point too. So I just wanted to bring this up because the article headline says that in Springfield, there's much bigger problems than pet rumors, and you just heard some of that. And it's unfortunate for the citizens that were already there, whose lives have just been turned upside down by this. So, yeah, that's kind of it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.